All right, so our first step is going to be to find the first derivative. Again, you could go through the domain, but really it's going to be about that first derivative. Now, you'll notice for my first derivative, I do have a variable divided by a variable. So that is going to require the quotient rule. So I'll write the quotient rule up here. I have my x as my top function, and then my x squared minus x plus 25 as the bottom function. The derivative of x is just 1. The x squared goes to 2x minus x to the first is a linear term, so it goes to -1, and then the plus 25 goes to 0. When I do my crisscross, I notice that I just have 1 times something, so I can drop that parenthesis 1 and just say it's x squared minus x plus 25, and then minus, and then this other diagonal. So x times 2x minus 1 all over the bottom squared. X squared minus x plus 25 quantity squared. Now, we want to have just one single fraction. So because we want one fraction, we are going to remove the parentheses in the numerator by distributing this x. So that gives us x squared minus x plus 25. And then we have x times 2x will give us a negative 2x squared. And then a negative x times -1 gives us a positive 1x. And then that is all over the bottom squared, of course. All right, so then we are going to combine our like terms. So we have a 1x squared and a negative 2x squared. That's going to give us a negative 1x squared when we take 1 minus 2. And then we have a negative x and a positive x. Those will simply cross out, and then the plus 25. And then that's over x squared minus x plus 25 quantity squared. That is our first derivative set equal to, that is our first derivative. Now, we're trying to find critical numbers. So to find critical numbers, we're going to set the first derivative equal to 0. First derivative does not exist. So first derivative is going to be where is the numerator equal to 0. So negative x squared plus 25 equal to 0. And then does not exist will be where is the denominator equal to 0. All right, so when you're looking at this numerator, there's two options. You can either factor or you can undo PIMDES. I think a lot of students would look at this and say I have a square power, so I need to go through the quadratic. And so that's a little bit different factoring work here. The most you can factor out would be a -1. So you would factor out the -1, and then that would give you x squared minus 25 is equal to 0. Then that would be a difference of two squares, so x plus 5 and x minus 5. Keep in mind that -1, of course, needs to continue coming down. And then I would set these equal to 0. So that is going to give us x, or -1 equals 0 doesn't give us anything, and then x equals -5 and x equals positive 5 as two critical numbers. And the thing that is important to notice here is that the interval that we're working with is 0, 27. So when you're thinking about the domain of 0, 27, -5 is not interior, it's not inside the 0 to 27. So we're not going to test the -5. We're not going to consider that a critical number. The only critical number that's actually in the interval 0 to 27 is the 5, and so that is going to be the critical number. I'm going to make a separate video for this does not exist case.